Most people buy extra virgin olive oil because they think it is the healthy choice. But in July 2010, researchers from the University of California, Davis Olive Center, and the Australian Oils Research Laboratory tested popular supermarket olive oils labeled extra virgin. And what they found was shocking. 69% of the imported samples failed. Not because the bottles looked fake, not because the labels looked cheap, but because the oil inside did not meet the standard required to be called extra virgin olive oil. Some samples were rancid, some were oxidized, some showed signs of poor quality, and some raised concerns about being blended with cheaper, refined oils. And that is what makes this so frustrating. You could be standing in a grocery store, holding a bottle that looks premium, sounds Italian, says, extra virgin on the front, and still have no idea what you are really buying. So in this video, I'm going to show you how olive oil fraud actually works. The 12 brands with documented test failures or labeling controversies, and the 3 brands with much stronger evidence behind them. Hey, I'm Prudence, and I used to be the person who just grabbed whatever olive oil looked healthiest on the shelf. I'd drizzle it on salads, cook with it every day, and honestly, I felt pretty good about spending a little extra. Then one day, a bottle I trusted tasted flat, greasy, and nothing like the fresh olive oil I'd tried at a small local market. That set me down a rabbit hole, and I realized something most of us were never really taught. We do not actually know what real olive oil is supposed to look, smell, or taste like. So now I help people spot the difference before they waste another dollar. Before we get into the 12 brands, you need to know how olive oil fraud actually works. When a bottle says extra virgin olive oil, most people picture fresh olives being crushed, bottled, and shipped straight to the store. And really, that is what it should mean. Real extra virgin olive oil should be fresh, unrefined, and made from olives without heat or chemicals. But because real olive oil is expensive to produce, some companies cut corners. Sometimes the oil is old and oxidized. Sometimes lower-grade olive oil gets sold as extra virgin. And in the worst cases, olive oil can be mixed with cheaper oils like soybean oil, vegetable oil, or refined olive oil. And here is the scary part. You usually cannot tell just by looking at the bottle. A fancy label does not prove anything. An Italian-sounding name does not prove anything. And the word imported definitely does not prove anything. And just to be clear, this does not mean every bottle from these brands today is fake. It means these brands have had documented test failures, quality concerns, or labeling controversies, so you should know what to look for before trusting the label. Now let's start with brand number 1. Pompeian. Pompeian is one of the biggest names in supermarket olive oil, which is exactly why this one matters. In April 2011, the University of California, Davis Olive Center, again working with the Australian Oils Research Laboratory, released a follow-up report called Evaluation of Extra Virgin Olive Oil Sold in California. In that study, 18 Pompeian samples were tested and 17 failed both sensory panels. That is 94% in that specific study. Now, a sensory panel is basically a group of trained olive oil tasters. They smell and taste the oil for freshness, fruitiness, and defects like rancid, musty, or fermented flavors. So when Pompeian failed both sensory panels, it means those samples did not taste or smell like true extra virgin olive oil under professional testing. It does not automatically prove the oil was fake, but it does strongly suggest that it did not meet the quality standard on the label. The bottle looks normal. The label looks trustworthy. But under professional testing, almost every sample failed the extra virgin standard. That is the first lesson. The problem does not always look fake. Sometimes it looks familiar. Brand number 2. Filippo Berio. Filippo Berio has the kind of label that makes people feel safe. Italian name, classic packaging, long history. It feels like something you should be able to trust. But in that same April 2011 University of California, Davis Olive Center report, 15 out of 18 Filippo Berio samples failed both sensory panels. That equals 83%. Now again, that does not mean every bottle was proven to be cut with seed oil. It means those tested samples did not meet the sensory standard required for extra virgin olive oil. And if you are paying for extra virgin, that matters. Brand number 3, Bertolli. Bertolli is another brand people recognize instantly. But in the same April 2011 University of California, Davis Olive Center report, 13 out of 18 Bertolli samples failed both sensory panels. That is 72%. Bertolli has also faced labeling controversy. In April 2018, Diolio United States of America, the company behind Bertolli in the United States, agreed to a $7 million class action settlement over claims involving Bertolli labeling, including imported from Italy and extra virgin claims. Diolio denied wrongdoing, but the case still shows why front label wording matters. Because here is the thing. A brand can be familiar without being reliable. And that is what makes olive oil so tricky. Brand number 4, Star. Star was also included in the April 2011 University of California Davis Olive Center report. In that study, 11 out of 18 Star samples failed both sensory panels, which equals 61%. At this point, you start seeing the pattern. Pompeian, Filippo Berio, Bertolli, Star. These are not obscure bottles from some random corner store. These are the brands ordinary shoppers reach for because they seem safe. And that is why this matters. Most people are not trying to become olive oil experts. They just do not want to be misled. Brand number 5, Colavita. Colavita had a lower failure rate than some of the others, but it still had a serious issue in the April 2011 University of California Davis Olive Center report. 10 out of 18 Colavita samples failed both sensory panels. That is 56%. Now, this is where it gets a little more complicated. Some samples passed, some failed. So the smarter question is not just, is this brand good? The smarter question is, can this exact bottle prove itself? Does it have a harvest date? Is it protected from light? Does it smell fresh when you open it? That is how you stop shopping blind. Brand number 6, Carapelli. Carapelli shows up in more than one controversy. First, in the July 2010 University of California Davis Olive Center report, Carapelli samples listed in the study were classified as virgin, not extra virgin. That means the tested samples did not meet the top grade claimed on the label. Then, in November 2015, The Guardian reported that Italian authorities were investigating several producers after testing suggested some oils labeled extra virgin did not meet extra virgin standards. The brands named in that investigation included Carapelli, Bertolli, Santa Sabina, Coricelli, Sasso, Prima Donna, and Antica Badia. Think of it like this. If you paid for first class and got economy, you would complain. Same idea here. If you pay for extra virgin, you should not bet a lower grade oil. Brand number 7, Sasso. Sasso was also part of the Italian olive oil controversy. In June 2016, reporting from Olive Oil Times and ETA said the Italian antitrust authority fined companies connected with several olive oil brands after concerns that some oils labeled extra virgin were actually virgin grade. The reporting included Diolio, which owns brands including Bertolli, Sasso, and Carapelli. And this is where label language becomes really powerful. Most shoppers see extra virgin and think healthy. But there is a big difference between true extra virgin olive oil and lower grade olive oil wearing a better label. Brand number 8, Coricelli. Coricelli was also named in the Italian labeling controversy. In November 2015, The Guardian reported that Italian authorities examined whether several companies had sold virgin olive oil as extra virgin. Coricelli was one of the brands named in that investigation. And in June 2016, Olive Oil Times reported that the Italian antitrust authority fined Lidl, Diolio, and Pietro Coricelli over misleading olive oil labeling practices. And this is an important point. A bottle does not have to be filled with seed oil to be misleading. Sometimes the oil is still olive oil. It is just not the grade you paid for. And when extra virgin costs more, that difference matters. Brand number 9, Prima Donna. Prima Donna, sold through Lidl, was also involved in the Italian labeling controversy. In 2016, the Italian antitrust authority fined Lidl over prima donna extra virgin olive oil labeling. Then, in February 2018, Food Navigator reported that an Italian appeal court quashed Lidl's fine because negligence had not been sufficiently explained. But the same reporting noted that the issue involved sensory panels flagging the oil as virgin rather than extra virgin. That detail matters. Not every case is simple, and not every accusation is the same as final proof, but it does show why you should not trust the front label alone, especially when the price looks too good to be true. Brand number 10, Botticelli. Now let's move to a more recent test. On June 21, 2024, Consumer Reports published a guide called How to Choose a Good Extra Virgin Olive Oil. Consumer Reports tested 26 extra virgin olive oils using lab testing, experts, and a trained tasting panel. One important thing to be clear about: Consumer Reports said its test was not an official legal assessment of whether an oil complied with any standard. So for these next 3 brands, we are talking about quality concerns, not a fraud conviction. In that 2024 test, Botticelli extra virgin olive oil landed in the not-so-hot group with a 2 out of 5 overall quality score. Consumer Reports said oils in that group had more serious flaws, including stale or fermented flavors. And that matters because if the bottle says extra virgin but expert tasting finds serious flaws, that is a quality gap most shoppers would never notice from the label. Brand number 11, Zoe Organic. Zoe Organic may surprise people because the word organic feels reassuring, but organic does not automatically mean fresh. It does not automatically mean properly stored, and it does not automatically mean extra virgin quality. In the June 21, 2024 Consumer Reports test, Zoe Organic Extra Virgin Olive Oil received a 2 out of 5 overall quality score. Consumer Reports said one sample was decent, but other samples were flawed, and that is the lesson. Organic is not the same as tested. Imported is not the same as authentic. Expensive is not the same as fresh. Brand number 12, Great Value. The final brand is Great Value from Walmart. The price can look amazing. The bottle can say extra virgin, but if the oil has almost no fruit flavor, that is a problem. In the June 21, 2024 Consumer Reports test, Great Value Extra Virgin Olive Oil also landed in the not-so-hot group with a 2 out of 5 overall quality score. Consumer Reports said it had very little fruit flavor. So do not judge olive oil by price alone. Judge it by the bottle, the date, the seal, and the taste. Now, after all that bad news, here are 3 brands with much stronger evidence behind them. And just to be clear, no brand gets a lifetime pass forever. Olive oil changes by harvest, batch, storage, and shipping. But these 3 have stronger testing history. Real brand number 1, California Olive Ranch. First is California Olive Ranch, especially bottles that clearly say 100% California. In the April 2011 University of California Davis Olive Center report, California Olive Ranch had 18 samples tested and 0 failed both sensory panels. Then, in the June 21, 2024 Consumer Reports test, California Olive Ranch 100% California Medium Extra Virgin Olive Oil received a 4 out of 5 overall quality score. So this is one of the first supermarket bottles I would look for. Not because the label is fancy, because the testing history is stronger. Real brand number 2, Cobram Estate. In the April 2011 University of California Davis Olive Center report, Cobram Estate had 8 samples tested and 0 failed both sensory panels. Then, in the June 21, 2024 Consumer Reports test, Cobram Estate 100% California Select Extra Virgin Olive Oil received a 4 out of 5 overall quality score. This is what you want: actual testing, actual flavor, actual evidence. Real brand number 3, Kirkland Signature Organic Extra Virgin Olive Oil. And this one surprises people because it is a Costco brand. In coverage of the July 2010 University of California Davis Olive Center findings, Olive Oil Times reported that Kirkland's Signature Organic Extra Virgin Olive Oil was the only imported brand in that test where all 3 regional samples passed the sensory tests. That does not mean every bottle from every year is perfect. But it does mean Kirkland has stronger evidence behind it than many supermarket brands people assume are more premium. Sometimes the trustworthy bottle is not the one with the fanciest Italian picture. Sometimes it is the one with better testing behind it. Can you fully prove your olive oil is real at home? You can't. You cannot run a lab test in your kitchen. And the viral fridge test is not reliable. In March 2013, the University of California Davis Olive Center tested the so-called fridge test and found it unreliable for detecting either olive oil purity or olive oil quality. But you can still do a quick reality check. First, smell it. Pour a little into a spoon or small glass. Warm it with your hand. Then smell it. Fresh, grassy, fruity, or herbal is good. Flat, waxy, stale, or rancid is bad. Second, taste it. Real extra virgin olive oil often has bitterness and a peppery feeling in the back of the throat. That peppery kick is not a flaw. It is often a sign of freshness. Third, check the label. Look for a harvest date. Look for dark packaging. Look for a single origin. Look for a certification seal. And finally, buy smaller bottles. A giant bottle may seem cheaper, but once it sits open for months, heat, light, and oxygen slowly ruin it. So now you know how olive oil fraud happens. You know the 12 brands with documented test failures, quality concerns, or labeling controversies. You know 3 brands with stronger evidence behind them. And you know why the bottle in your pantry may not be as healthy as you thought. The next time you buy olive oil, do not just ask, "Is it extra virgin?" Ask, "Can this bottle prove it?" And if you found this helpful, subscribe for more videos that show you what food labels are really hiding.